right, everybody. So we are so excited. We are back for week 5. Week 5. And actually, what is really cool is we are here with members of the cast of Why Not. We have Kim and Bill and Frank here with us today. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
So what is really neat is actually in my Facebook memories, it popped up that on this day, this exact day, 10 years ago,
agreeing.
I had posted the picture of Why Not.
That's when we posted it. Possibly.
I don't know about the movie, but the picture was posted. And so it was kind of neat that, like, wow, February 6th, 10 years later, we're doing this Zoom.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Enough about that. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Awesome. So we are just going to jump right into, like, reacclimate to 10 years later, you guys.
Wow.
Right? So, I'm sure nothing's changed in anybody's lives, right?
No, not at all.
Yeah. So, Frank, why don't we just start with you? What has changed and what has stayed the same?
I got old. Even though I'm still working, I'm now collecting Social Security. That's a big change in my life. But I'm still working the same job. But I no longer have that hellish commute to New Jersey, which I had back when we did this. COVID has not affected my daily life at all because I've been working at home for 3 or 4 years from home, 3 or 4 years anyway.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So it's nothing new to me. It's affected everything else in my life, theater, Scrabble, church, all of those things, but it hasn't affected my work life.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the same job. I'm still loving my job. 10 years ago, at that point, I still thought I was on the verge of my big break as a playwright. I had the one play that was under option. It was actually possibly going to Broadway. The producers, they had a reading at the Pasadena Playhouse with Angela Bassett 10 years ago. And I thought,
my gosh,
I'm going somewhere. It all fell through.
Oh.
It all fell through completely. She was all set to star in it out in California. She dropped out to do something else. They never found anybody else. So that never happened.
Wow.
I have had other plays produced, and even one published. And that's been done, a short play. It's been done many places, including Australia. When you actually get in an anthology, sometimes people pick it up. And, I'm just going on. I've got the same job, the same house, and the same wife, because I don't like to change things very often. I became, after being in the Presbyterian Church Choir in Deer Park, and you remember we actually did some shooting there once. I've been in their choir since 1982. I finally joined the church 7 years ago because I don't like to rush into things. And I am now an elder there. So
wow.
It's that's moved up in priority in my life very far. Still play Scrabble, though mostly online. I was doing it just before we came here. And just one interesting thing that entered my life when we did Why Not? That was the first time I'd ever been to Shandon Court.
Oh.
I have now been there over 400 times.
What?
Because 2 weeks later, a friend of mine said, "Do you want to come and play trivia with us at Shandon Court?" And I said, "Sure." And I've been playing regularly there, for 10 years now.
I feel so much better because they allowed us to shoot there for free. And I made these grand promises when I called them, like, "Oh, we'll patron you and we'll feature you in the movie and all these things." And I don't think you and I have even gone back there once in the 10 years. So thank God you've done it for us, Frank.
And we started doing it in person again. We've been, for social distancing, we've been playing in that ballroom where we shot, except that, they have like the tables all spread out, so nobody's right on top of each other. instead of doing it in the little room. So I've been in that room once a week for the past few months.
Well, that is just wild. Oh my gosh. Jeez. Wow. Thank you so much, Frank. So Kim, how about you? What is going on for you?
Oh, she's done.
I think Kim is frozen. Bill, what's going on for you?
Well, since the filming, I was probably at just about getting back into theater, actually. That was probably one of the first projects, because I had taken off or career-wise, mostly because I was traveling so much that I couldn't commit to doing shows. And I think I was just getting back to Airport Playhouse at that time, doing a few shows.
Wow,
And
Airport
then-
Playhouse.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then had moved to CM probably just shortly after this and started getting back into theater, and was there for 5-6 years. And then I got a job with Stony Brook University as the marketing manager there for food and entertainment on campus.
Oh wow.
And
That's cool.
been there for a few years now. So still in the same field, marketing. But then I've also gotten married. So that was new. I was actually in another relationship at that point, and we were planning to get married, but it wasn't legal in New York. And then things ended, and now here I am 10 years later, married anyway.
Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Wow. Oh my gosh. It's so funny. Like just hearing you talk about like the trajectory of your life, so much changed just like either on the island, like Airport Playhouse was like a staple,
Yeah.
like within the Long Island theater community. And then talking about like, well, marriage wasn't legal. And then now here we are. So like, man, that is just amazing. So what has, well, you said the same field,
Same
you're still
field,
in
just
marketing.
different areas, going from franchise to theater to university and food. So it's just completely shifted that way.
Yeah. Anything else the same for you?
I mean, not really. Basically living on Long Island has been the same, just moved houses quite often. Probably every other year we've moved. But
wow.
yeah, I've been now married a year and a half already, and we've been together 6 years, me and my husband. So yeah.
Oh God, so you're still newlyweds. That's so sweet.
You're all newlyweds.
Sometimes still sweet. Depends on the day.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the update. And Kim.
Well, I mean, the most obvious thing is that I was this much pregnant when we filmed this video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably nobody there even knew that at that point, because I don't even know if my mom knew at that point. I do the math on it. Ivy was born November, so it was right around then.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I mean, and now I have 2 kids, so I made people where there were no people before. That's pretty big for so yeah, it's funny because this video, maybe it's off by a little bit, but you don't really see it. But by the musical, I'm like sitting at a table, thankfully, but like at a certain angle, that one shot that's like the thumbnail, you could kind of see at the bottom. But so that's obviously the biggest, the biggest change all around, going from just being focused on work and theater and whatever to like being a mom, and obviously that's just an enormous, all-consuming passion in of itself. I mean, everything. I mean, otherwise, I mean, we've moved since then, and I was laid off from my marketing job, and I do freelance writing, and obviously still want to be doing theater, but nobody's doing theater now for the most part. I mean, my son, he's going to be 5, and he started kindergarten in the fall. And theoretically, when he was going to start kindergarten, I was like, oh, now it's time to get back to auditioning and whatever. But, obviously 2020 pandemic had different plans for that. So they're both doing school from home virtually, totally remote. So now a lot of time is spent on remote school, which is kind of crazy. I don't mind it. Like a lot of people complain about I mean, it can be stressful, but I'm a big germaphobe. So to me, it would be a lot worse to have them there and coming home and trying to like defog them and shower them down and be paranoid about it. Like now I know if they cough, they haven't been anywhere. They've been here. So,
Wow.
I mean, I'd like to, it's just the whole, for me, I was always very germ crazy. And then now this is driving me nuts. But at least there's light at the end of the tunnel now. Hopefully we'll get the vaccines.
Yes, hopefully. Have any of you had the opportunity to get the vaccine yet?
I'm not old enough. I'm old, but I'm not that old. Though I understand that I can start looking into it now because I am 66. So I'm on that, I'm on that cusp of being in a high risk age group.
Yeah.
I'm more happy my mother got it because she's 89. She just turned 89.
God bless her. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, she's great. She's great. She's smarter than I am. She always was, but she's in good health and she's a little feisty, and I'm happy to say she is just as much of a liberal Democrat as she ever was. She lives in a retirement village, so she's surrounded by people who aren't, but they've just arranged to not talk about it because they're her friends and they're the people around her, and she and so since she doesn't go online for anything, she doesn't get into these fights the rest of us do.
True.
Yeah. All right. So we are actually going to introduce the theme, genre, and random elements just to refresh everybody's memory.
To see if we did a good job or not. I don't know.
So here's the stats. The genre is farce. The theme is feminism. And the random element was Led Zeppelin.
Who gave you that one?
I don't know.
It had to be Mark and Beck. They were the ones in the previous cast.
Yes. Yeah, so it was Mark and Beck. And the film has 1,059 views. So here we go. Let's give it a start.
We're gonna watch it
And
now.
watch for feminism, farce, and Led Zeppelin, and see if you think we all hit the nail on the head with this.
Let's pull it up here. Okay. I'm going to make the volume a little bit lower so we can hear each other.
I've got my new hearing aids in, so that's another thing that's new.
You want to pick the slide?
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah. Here we go. That's fine. Oh, Shandon Court.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognized it.
This is for your own good. Taylor isn't a good match for you. Morgan is more suited to you. Morgan is more suited to you. Never liked Taylor.
That's not true. Taylor has always been polite, well-mannered.
Yes, but Morgan will make you happy.
I
He'll
don't
make an
hear the
excellent
text now.
husband.
The weird foot.
And what's funny is that the pictures get taken so many times that you're just like, oh, and there that is again.
Yeah, why did we choose? Was that just an editing thing?
I think it was the show like wedding photos, like as you're getting
Yes.
ready.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like, oh, the wedding videographer's recording all this, and they're
Yeah.
like office kind of thing going on.
You can't be serious. I am a born grandmother.
The moments you don't want to capture.
Really?
Moral standards. And he shares our values. Yes, he shares your values. But I don't. Ryan, please. But everyone will be arriving.
The door slam with a door that doesn't slam.
Now, please help me off that ridiculous boy.
Oh,
Ryan, sweetheart,
oh,
angel, you're going to be a beautiful bride.
Oh, this beautiful.
What happened? What happened to you, Kim, in that 3 seconds you were out in the hallway?
Like, what do I do?
Now, this was also
Oh.
shot while the restaurant itself was still open.
Still open.
So
Oh
that
my God.
that music was them.
Yeah.
Weren't they having a Sweet 16 or something? Like,
Oh my
Going
gosh.
on.
Beautiful young girl into doing something against her will. It's our Morgan.
Oh.
Learn from the best.
Oh,
Oh.
that is terrible. God, what a disgusting line.
I think that tux was actually my senior prom tux that I was wearing too. It fit
Oh,
10 years before, probably.
Going on for an exceedingly long I still have that tie.
Nice.
Circumstance.
We're not saying that something's going to happen today to end this marriage.
Nonsense, Mother. Everything is under control. This is just a phase of rebellion that Ryan's going through. Much like that week I listened to Led Zeppelin.
what's
Hey, Led
that?
Zeppelin.
All we want is to ensure Ryan's happiness with my future wife and the mother of my 2 children. Practically 5 kids. Her father will lead her down the aisle to me and then we will be wed. And then we can stop talking about this Taylor.
Nothing is going to stop this wedding from going on exactly as planned.
Hello, my future wife.
Awkward moment ever.
Know that your parents made the right choice in making you my bride. We are going to be very healthy, very happy, and have very good-looking children.
Oh.
I remember this. I remember this shot.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, that face right there that you just made
Oh,
is
there's
like that right there is your audition for a Lifetime Christmas movie to be like a Canadian handsome,
Yes.
right?
Or like the cliche 80s like movie villain. with the-
Yes.
We're invited guests.
Going on here, what seems to be the problem, Taylor?
We're sorry.
Oh, this is obnoxious. This photo
Not
snap.
allowed
Yeah,
to
oh.
come in, you and this gentleman. Who is this man anyway? This is my boyfriend. Boyfriend?
Oh.
Ryan's mother and father.
Meanwhile, the way she says boyfriend, she's like, I don't even believe this. Boyfriend.
What the hell are we wearing on a
It's the knots. That was like the theme for like the hidden theme of the
Yeah, that was.
That's
the-
right,
marriage- that's the-
White knot.
yeah.
Happy housewife. I'm joining a yacht club. Strapping, handsome young boys playing polo every weekend. I decided to get a handsome, wealthy young man of my own.
She's about to laugh there.
I'm glad to see you've come to your senses. You can seat this lady and her
Oh.
escort on the bride's side.
You see, every so often that freeze
Right.
frame works.
Just twice so far it's worked.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the farce part of it.
But we really must be going. It's nearly time.
Hey, an Easter egg is those roses. Those roses appeared in
Yeah.
several other films, including the finale. Kung Fu Lessons too.
Yes, yes. Kim, are you like under the table crying right now?
Remember?
Yeah, you were
I
there,
think
but, like,
Kim is literally like
Behind the mirror.
behind that mirror,
Yeah.
but it's a pretty good body double.
Yeah.
Considering like besides the hair is sticking out, and you can tell like, wait, that's not her hair.
Oh, it's
Meanwhile,
not
Matt fussed with that veil so much that it started like getting staticky.
It is with great pleasure that we come together today to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony.
This wayward woman has traveled off
Oh, Jerry doesn't have
wayward
facial hair.
No.
back by this fine young gentleman. And together we know that they shall lead a life free of irregularity
Oh.
and interruption.
Oh my
Let
god.
their marriage be an example of good, clean living.
And of course,
Of course.
2 children within the next 5 years.
Wow, there that is
Oh.
again.
Yeah.
Now, before we go any further, if there's anyone here who feels these two should not be joined together, speak now or forever hold your peace.
And Zach.
What? Where did she come
Wait,
from?
if she look at Matt's face, he's like, wait, if she's there, then who's there?
We're not dating. She's not my type. You know what I mean?
Gay? Taylor, your boyfriend's gay?
Gay?
And
Jeez.
he's not my boyfriend. I needed some excuse so that Ryan and I could escape together.
But if that's Ryan, who's... Wait, I can explain. I don't want to hear it. I knew you were dating on
Oh,
man. Oh, poor John's just sitting there with the flowers.
Oh. I was just saying stop.
Oh, thank God.
Thank you, Kim.
Listening to yourself? This is my wedding day. And I'm going to marry the person who has my whole heart. Taylor and I are getting married today. And there is nothing that anyone in this room can say to stop that. Taylor and I are family. And I hope you can accept that. If you can't, sorry. I'm a grown woman and I have to do what makes me happy.
Me too. What does that mean? I didn't lie or cheat on you. I want to marry you. I didn't have enough money to buy a ring, so when Ryan offered me a few bucks to go through with all this, I accepted. I had no idea you'd be here, and I did all this for you. I believe these are yours.
Oh, that John sign.
Wait a minute. Kim, did you play Sarah?
Yes.
I did, yes, and John
Look
was
at that face. Look at that face.
horrified.
Oh my gosh, I just had like a flash of that happening when he kissed you on the head. I was like, wait, this is like the weirdest deja vu ever. Oh my gosh.
No
that's
way.
so- Why not?
Look, she's feeding Billy the cake.
Like,
He's sitting on Frank's lap.
now kiss your loves.
Oh, why not?
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 Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not?
Why not?
No, really. Why not?
Please visit whiteknot.org to learn more about marriage equality and what you can do to ask your local officials. Why not? Thank you.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay.
So, oh, you stopping the share?
Yeah. We have to keep sharing it?
No, that's okay. Never mind. No, it's okay. Never mind. How do you make that sound stop?
I'm trying to stop it.
Stop the share.
There it is.
Okay.
There was a great shot of you sitting in my lap that never made it into the final cut, and I was so disappointed in that.
Oh man. The truth comes out.
Get that raw footage.
I had my disgusted look, which is one of my specialties.
Let's see it now.
My friends even have a name for it. They call it the perpetually perplexed look of Frank Tangretti.
Oh.
Can we see a shot of it right now?
Oh
Yeah,
man.
that's pretty intense.
I like how the glasses have to come off to achieve this look as well. Oh my gosh. All right. So
Okay.
So, how do you think we did in terms of achieving the farce and hitting the theme of feminism?
The farce you definitely got the farce, especially, it didn't seem that way in the beginning. It seemed more like, the sitcom level, but then you got to the pandemonium part of it. So that definitely worked. I'm not sure feminism is the right word.
Yeah.
It was more like misogyny, like all throughout. Like it was kind of completely bizarre how it was like, oh, my little wifey. Ugh. When
Yeah.
you said wifey, I was like, eh.
Yeah, to me, it's more like about equality than it is about like anything else. It's not really.
Yeah.
You're-
So I have to mention, and that's actually why I wanted you to let the credits play.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. This was the first film that I had ever directed.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. We wanted the credits on there.
No. Well,
Ah,
more importantly than that is actually this is the first film that we had done for Project 52 that was written by somebody else.
yes.
Jordan wrote this script for us. And so that is like a whole other animal for Project 52 because everything had to happen in such a short amount of time that relying on a writer to write for us was like a whole thing. Did any of you remember the amount of time you had with the script? Yeah, like a hot second.
I feel like it was a day.
Maybe a day. Maybe a day.
I mean, I'm not even sure that all of you had a day.
Yeah.
I think I was memorizing it during my downtime, which there was a lot of. That's another thing I remember is there was a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
Especially in this because up until the actual wedding, everything was 2 or 3 people at a time, so there was a lot of waiting around,
Yeah.
which was very helpful when you haven't learned the script yet.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Did we do any improv? Was it all the script? You guys remember? I don't remember if it was like,
There's
oh
a
yeah,
little bit, not a lot.
play with
though.
it.
I don't think
More adding.
not lines, maybe some business. I don't think that pushing his head into the cake was in the script. I'm not sure about that.
Probably not. but
I
it was
think
a-
I
it
think
was a
the like
great movie.
pandemonium was probably
That was
more
just
like go
Yeah.
be as big as possible, and that was probably it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And I
then
feel like
feeding him the cake came out of that.
yeah.
So I think some of the business was probably improvised at the time.
And I
Yeah.
feel like when Kim was trying to leave the first time, she actually went through the wrong door, and we're like, leave it. It was funny because she's like,
And the door was so
I was
heavy,
gonna
I
ask
could
that,
not get out. And then it was the wrong door anyway.
Pretty sure it was also like a subliminal nod to Noises Off, which is a farce. That you were like door play. Okay, fine. So let me ask you, how many of you had done film previous to that experience?
Do 1 or 2 other short films in college, but not a lot.
Yeah, so the lack of rehearsal, the lack of time with the script
Mhm.
was like,
There was like no rehearsal. It was like,
yeah,
oh, we're just gonna
it was
shoot
literally
what
like,
happens.
so you know what you need to do here,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe we'll do 2 takes. First one
Yeah.
was kind of, let's do
I
another
mean,
one.
again, like not to fall back on that as like an excuse for anything, but like it just was so the nature of the beast that it was just
Yeah.
kind of like, are y'all game? Great. Oh my gosh. So do you have any like favorite memory or like any memory at all of like that? That was a
It was
pretty
10 years ago, so it's kind of
that was a pretty good time or weird time or like what happened there? Like sometimes watching the movie can like jog a memory that you're like, oh God, I forgot that, but now here it is.
I remember, like, for me, when when my family was asking, like, oh, what are you going to do? What is this? Tell me about it. And I had just come out like a few years before, so it was still all new. And it wasn't always like 100% accepted. So I was like, how am I going to explain this to them? How are they going to be able to see it and be like, okay? And for me, at first, it was like uncomfortable because I'm like, okay,
Oh,
even though I
wow.
wasn't playing the gay character, I was still a part of it.
Yeah.
And being new and stuff. But, at that point, they were just coming around a little bit more understanding. I mean, I was with somebody, so they had to accept. And I feel like that kind of just helped them a little bit more for like, it's okay. Kind of like just get past it in a funny way. And I feel like that
Yeah.
helped a little bit more.
That's
Wow. I don't think I ever knew that. That is so wild.
Yeah,
Oh my
'cause
gosh.
10 years ago, I was 26 and I had come out when I was like 21. So it was still like new, you know, in that time
Wow.
frame.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I think like for us, we were allies for I don't know, ever. So like it didn't occur to us like what being a part of this film could imply for certain people and for their sexual orientation or for like whether they were out or not. And it's interesting because now that I look at it, there are several queer members of the cast that like were just kind of down for being a part, and some of them had been out for like a really long time, some of them were dating, so like it wasn't necessarily like as taboo, I think, as it was for you. So hearing you say that is like so interesting and amazing. And like honestly, thank you for being willing to be in it when it could have been like, this is gonna be really freaking uncomfortable. Like
Can I tell you a story? Because that sparked something in a memory for me that was important about how art can help people like that in the same way. Um, there was this young man. He's my protege. He's my Scrabble protege. I met him online as part of a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire fan group, and he got interested in playing Scrabble. So I started teaching him how to play Scrabble online. And he lives in Michigan. He was 17 at the time. And one day after an online Scrabble game, he said, "Frank, I want to tell you something." And I thought he was going to say something wise ass because that's the way he was. And so I'm sitting there at my computer waiting for whatever wise ass thing he's going to say. And he said, "Frank, I'm gay." And it was like, okay, the next thing I type is going to be really important. And that was the start of what I call my son, my internet son, because I was the first person he had come out to. Um, and when he went to college, I used to get like 3 emails from him a day that were very long because I was the only person he could talk to. I finally had to teach him. I says, "I'm willing to read everything you read, but please put some paragraph breaks in there." So anyway, and we finally met in person a few years later when I went to Michigan for a Scrabble tournament because he started playing, so he's better than me now. But I got interested enough with his okay, I wrote a play based on our relationship, and that. And what happened was, at the 2009 National Scrabble Championship, I had done a play reading at one of this before. He said, and the play had a Scrabble background because of that, So he said, "Can we do a reading of that play at the tournament?" I said, "Okay." He says, "And I want to play the character based on me." And I said, "Okay, well, in that case, I'll play the character based on me." And we did this in front of 100 people. And that's how he came out to the Scrabble community.
Wow.
And
wow.
the play never got produced, but it was the most important play I ever wrote. And he got so much support because of it that it was just like, and then of course we both dissolved in tears immediately afterwards. But that was so that reminded me of that, the fact that using art, using something to help to be a part of somebody doing that was incredible.
yeah. Wow, thank you for that. So something that's really interesting, just thinking about like some of the relationships, like Kim, we mentioned like, oh my gosh, that kiss with John and you was very reminiscent of theater characters that you had portrayed. But Bill, you and I went to high school together.
Yeah.
And so that's how you came to be a part of this like weird universe. And then it's so weird, even still as an adult, to call her Jean instead of
I cannot.
Miss Jean.
It's always Miss Jean.
Seriously. So who is Miss Jean to us?
She was our choreographer for high school. I mean, she was up there.
Yes.
With Mr. Dobbins, and still be Mr. Dobbins to this day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's so wild. And you're right. It was like about 10 years later that like I think you and I were like in the same group that we went to prom together, but you were a year younger than me. So you were like somebody's date. And then like, I think I saw you like maybe a couple years later for like some weird reunion or something or other. So like, it's just such a random, awesome conglomeration of people that came to be a part of this.
It's a weird mix of people that came from all different parts of our lives.
Yeah. So. But I will say, and I think I'm actually very proud of this because we got called out a lot for using a lot of like young actors throughout the course of the project. And we were always like, they were the people available. They were the people that were hungry to be in this stuff. Like it wasn't because of lack of trying, I promise. But
they had free schedules.
This is the most age diverse cast, I think, of the entire.
Oh, by far.
Because we have people from their 20s up.
Yeah.
So we have like every decade covered pretty much, I think, in this group. So that is something that I was actually very proud of, that we had like very age diverse, and also like Kim and Sherry, I think, are like close-ish in age. Like Dave and Robbie, I believe they actually knew each other since like
high school and like middle school, maybe even.
Middle school, because Dave and Robbie are actually friends with my sister. So like I've known them since they were like young. Like Robbie actually grew up a few blocks away from us. So I've known him since he was like little. He used to like sing opera in my basement with my sister. So there was like all sorts of things with that.
This was a cool one too, because he actually got us like a location. Instead of like shooting in our kitchen, we're like, oh, you actually got a real location.
Yes.
Which didn't happen very often after this too.
And I will say, really for the record, you totally were like, you're not gonna get anything. You're not gonna get anything. We're gonna have to shoot it in the basement of your parents' house. I don't know where we're gonna do this. And I was like, I am cold calling until I get a place to say yes. Oh my gosh. Well, funny that you say that. Something else to bring up, our typical budget for these movies was $15.
Yes. Oh, this point.
Do you remember what we spent on this?
Well, we had to buy that dress at the thrift store.
And Robbie was such a freaking good sport. We went to the thrift store for him to try on that wedding dress. And he was like parading around, loving life. Like, wait, is this good? And I was like, you look gorgeous.
How much did we spend?
You don't remember how much we spent?
I know what happened after we spent it.
Yes, okay.
I'll tell that part.
Okay, so we spent $100 on like the flowers, which were like a little nothing, and then that like ridiculous not Little Debbie's, Entenmann's cake, and then the little plastic brides and grooms put together
was the bulk of it.
The dress, the veil, all these things.
Then I was in Walmart by us getting some last minute things, and I found like $115 in the parking lot in cash.
Oh,
right next to my car.
My God.
So we're like, budget clear.
Because the budget.
Talk about an anonymous patron.
It might have been. Someone's like, oh, I heard you're making this movie called Why Not? So
why not?
Oh my gosh.
Why not?
Yeah.
So this was your first time directing. How did that feel?
I don't remember it. But I mean, I think it also felt very hectic too, because like not having rehearsal time, not having like them having time with the scripts, like not having time. Like Frank was saying, like, thank God they had time to sit around, because you know it was a lot of like rehearsal time. But
a lot of people in a place that like we were like just using. Like it wasn't like our place where like we had to get out at a certain point.
Yeah,
so
it was definitely an uncomfortable feeling of like, oh, we're doing this, huh? Okay.
Yeah, but go
ahead.
Everyone was game. They were like, yeah, let's do it.
Yes, and I have something else I want to say to all of you guys that you should be commended for, besides like the timing and the devotion to learning the lines and all that stuff, is everyone besides the wedding dress was their own clothing. So like Debbie had a wig on. Like Jean was wearing like a ball gown. I was like, wow, the mother of the groom's really showing up here. All right.
Yeah, his prom tux on. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Wow. Kim, how about for you? Do you remember anything like fun or weird or like just random about that?
I honestly was super stressed about how I was going to come out looking like when I came back out and I just had one piece of hair in front of my face. Like I was completely obsessed with the idea of like, well, it's like a sight gag, but I don't have any stuff. What do I do? Do I make my hair stand up? Do I make a face? This was like the entire time. I didn't care about the lines. I didn't care about anything else. I felt like the onus was on me to come up with some gorgeous thing that when I opened that door was going to be hilarious. And I didn't know. And then when we were just watching it back, you were like, oh my God, look, your hair's in your face. I was like, yeah, my hair is my face.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny. Kim's in the hallway saying the film rides on this one moment. If I don't get this right, it's going to be a disaster.
It's like the Shakespeare in Love when they're like, what's it about? And the guy who plays the nurse is like, it's about this nurse. Like, I only thought that was the only thing I could zero in on. Forget about the social relevance, equality. It was like this moment.
Oh my God.
Forget about the whole monologue you had on the chair, about that.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't know what I was getting into. So, but at that time in my life, I just said yes to anything because why not? That wasn't even planned.
I don't think most people, of course, no one really knew what they were getting into with these whole things. We would call someone like, hey, you free this weekend? We're shooting a film. Oh, what's it about? We don't know yet, but are you free Saturday? You might get a script to you on Friday night. Maybe. Don't count on it though. And people were game. Like
I do remember thinking you were insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got that a lot that year.
We sure did.
But like it was interesting. Some people like once they did one, they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm in," and no matter what we called them for, they're like, "I'm down." And then some people we didn't end up using it again because they weren't free, or maybe they just weren't free because they were like, "Nah, that wasn't my thing.
That was insane. I'm not doing that again."
But and then like I mentioned like weeks ago too, it was like once people started doing it regularly, when someone new came into the mix and they were like trying to understand it all, I was like, "What don't you get? Just do it! Like, come on, everyone else gets it. Come on, we're just doing this."
Oh my gosh.
But it's a funny thing you mentioned about like I don't think I ever thought during the making of any of these about what was going on in like their heads. Because I was so
we didn't have time to.
Yeah. But I never thought about anything personally going on, like how this might how this one film might what they're thinking about. It was kind of like go. And like to think back on that, I'm like, that'd be cool to actually like sit down and have conversations with people before we made these. Like, so what are your thoughts on this? And like, imagine how better things would have been if that was the case.
Yeah.
We can't do that now, but
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so true. Jeez. And something that is like a big deal for us is that we had gotten married in 2008, and actually the bonus feature, I don't know if you remember this.
Oh, it's our wedding dance.
It is the bonus feature to this movie is actually our wedding dance, but we got married in 2008, and then on our 1-year wedding anniversary, we actually went to DC and marched for marriage equality with my sister.
Nice.
And that was a really cool thing. And so something that I actually went and looked up, just because this is such an important topic around the movie, obviously, is marriage equality. So right now, as of 2020, actually, there is 37 states and the District of Columbia that have legalized gay marriage. Alabama, Missouri, that says Alabama twice.
It does.
Okay, cool.
They outlawed it twice.
Yes, they have some restrictions. 13 states still have a ban on same-sex marriage, but then it says 8 of these states have court rulings in favor allowing same-sex marriage. But in this most recent election, Nevada became the first state ever to recognize gay marriage as part of their state constitution. So that is a really big deal. And they also have an amendment recognizing marriage as between couples regardless of gender. So that is a really big deal, an initiative for them. Does anybody know what the first state was to pass marriage equality?
Was it Massachusetts?
Ding, 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 ding.
The
Our
trivia master.
trivia guy gets it. Do you know what year?
I remember somebody getting married in Massachusetts when it was still not legal here, but I can't remember when. That's why I remembered it, because they had to go out of state to do it.
That's earlier than I thought.
Yes, it's totally earlier than I thought. So Massachusetts, it became legal in 2003, but the next state to legalize was California, and it wasn't until 2008.
Wow, that's pretty.
It's a big gap.
That's surprising.
Yeah.
The Puritans turned over in their grave.
Puritans turned over in their grave.
The Puritans turned over in their grave.
So something else that I thought was really neat is I remember this year that we made this movie, 2011, we posted it like February 6th. And then a few months later, it was June when marriage equality passed. And I remember there was a bunch of people, myself included, that had New York Did It as their middle name on Facebook. And it's so funny because, like, in your Facebook memories, it'll come up with what your name was at the time. And so I was Christy New York Did It Fitzgerald. And I was like, that's awesome. Like a cool little snippet of time. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Wow. So the most recent was Washington in 2014. So there's still states out there that are not legalizing this. And interestingly, if you are somebody that is looking for a way to support marriage equality, we would recommend a HRC campaign rather than whiteknot.org, because when I checked the website, it is still registered to them, but they haven't updated anything since 2018. Okay. So do not go to that website for any support of that at this point, because it will not yield many results. Yeah. So does anybody do any very poignant work either in your creative expression, in your singing, in your writing, in your performing, or any advocacy work, either in this field or in like any capacity? I know Kim and Bill, you're both in marketing, so I don't know if like that kind of like bleeds over at all. And Kim and Frank, you both said that you do some writing. So has anybody had any other creative endeavors, artistic pieces that have kind of bled into the like blurred lines of advocacy, or something that you're just really passionate about and you really care very much about?
I wouldn't call it advocacy, but I certainly have used this theme in several of my plays, including one that they actually filmed, and I'm hoping to be able to advertise when that film is ready to be seen, because we shot it over a year ago. But I wouldn't call it advocacy, but it's certainly the one that was being filmed is a conversation between two brothers, one of whom is gay and one of whom comes home with the shameful news he's fallen in love with a girl who is who is politically conservative. And so I took the whole situation of somebody not being accepted and flipped it on its head, because we have this conservative girl coming into this liberal family and them not accepting it. And I kind of examined it that way.
It's like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but like in a flipped up way. Right.
And I wrote another play about, well, I kind of got even with my old college roommate who was a, who he was my best friend. I finally cut him off this year, but who was a conservative evangelical Christian who, when we weren't being best friends, was driving me crazy. And I wrote this play set in a college dormitory, and I decided to give him a gay roommate, and seeing what would happen if I mixed the pot. So what I do, I wouldn't call it advocacy, but I look at I look at it always from a relationship perspective. But yeah, So as far as this topic goes, I have examined it in several of my works.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Bill, Kim, either of you guys at all?
Not really.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. I mean, like I'm mostly, like I said, the college level now. So it's mostly just staying, marketing food, which then I've taken onto my own. But that's pulling out the creativity, but I'm not advocating anything except for vegan.
Yeah, well, okay, that's important too.
I am happy
But
to
I
be.
think though, going to a point that you made earlier, I mean, for myself, my career has been in theater, higher education, and almost all the people that you encounter are pretty liberal. So like when we worked on this movie, for example, it wasn't. I don't think it was for that anybody'd be like, oh, this is a touchy. Which side of this issue should we be on? Everybody is on the same page. And I think in the past few
Right.
years, to see on Facebook the reality of people I went to high school with and seeing what they're saying and their take on everything going on in the political, it just never even occurred to me, just because all the people I've been so entrenched with in either of the careers I've had, and those people who became my friends and stuff. The viewpoint was so much more progressive and so much more liberal that it was almost startling to me. And then especially like the people feeling they have more and more permission to speak out in. I don't know. I'm trying not to be in a very showing some very right wing views that I just were completely unexpected to me. That thing, it was shocking to me that people would even question why not. Like it was almost cutesy to say why not, because even like at this time, of course, but now to see how many people it's so ingrained in them, the opposite end of the spectrum, and that has made me feel like my writing should start to veer toward having more of a purpose in that way, and not just writing something entertaining, or I used to sell people on the best to spend their money to go to private school instead of going to a public school. So I feel like that calling in that way, to start using the language that way and the art that way. It's harder as an actor or as a singer when you're not writing songs or writing stuff. But for myself, I want to create more content rather than, obviously, somebody wants to hire me to sing or act, I'm going to do it. But you're right. I think there is in this moment, I think it's important to try to take the skills we have and do what we can to influence people.
Yeah.
And
It's
one
so
thing-
interesting too, because we actually became a part of this like marriage group that was like couples that are like trying to like build their marriage and strengthen their marriage, and it was all wonderful, and they were like, you guys are a young couple and this is amazing, we want you to be presenters, and we were like, okay, this is great, oh my gosh. And then like I suddenly started recognizing more and more like this is a marriage group that is only men and women. This is a marriage group that would only want men and women. This is a marriage group that would actively be sure to not have anyone but men and women. And I said to them, like, I think I need to say something right now. And I like, we were being like workshopped, like we had gone for trainings. We spent hours and hours like crafting our story to fit these like guidelines that we had to fit and all these things, jumping through hoops to like make this happen. And then I was like, so we marched for marriage equality. Is that going to be a thing? And the response was, well, do you have it posted on social media?
Oh my God.
And I was just like, wrong answer. Like, I was so freaked out. I was just like, yeah, it is. And all I could think is, if it's not, it's gonna be no.
Because their basic
They,
quote was
they
like,
wanted you to be in the closet.
yes.
Exactly. They were like, well, not only can you not be actively supporting, but like, okay, as long as you're quiet about your support, then that's okay. And I was just so like, and I'm out. Like that was it. I couldn't even like stomach the idea of standing for something that was so contrary to what we believe as a couple. And it just was so like, I can't.
I do want to. Wasn't my doing, but it is a development that's happened that I'm glad has happened in my business. I'm a textbook editor. I work in social studies. And in the years since then, uh, back we would avoid this topic in our American history books. And we are now, it has changed to the point where we discuss the beginnings of the gay rights movement in the same place we discuss the civil rights movement and the feminist movement in the 60s. Um, we talk about it now. Some states are even mandating, not all states, but some states are even mandating that that be included, which is interesting because then you can have some states that probably won't buy the books because of it. But that is a major change that I, while I did not initiate it, I have been a part of implementing it. Um, and and acknowledge, even things like in the world, acknowledging the fact that gay men were were targeted by the Nazis in Germany, things like that that we just didn't talk about back then in these books because it was not considered appropriate because there were states that wouldn't. And we the educational system has gotten to the point where we we were able to take a stand and say, yes, we're going to discuss it. It's important. It's a current political issue, not advocating, but just acknowledging it.
It hurts
But
my
the
head
trial.
so much to even hear like it's not appropriate. It's history. How
Yeah.
can what happened in our world not be appropriate to share with the next generations that we are trying to rise up to not repeat history? Like, how
Right.
does that happen?
And we don't feel, obviously we're textbook people. It's not our job to advocate for any position, but
But the truth.
idea that, that you couldn't even acknowledge the existence of,
Um,
and now, you make a point of even saying, acknowledging certain people were gay in the books or in the supplements. Or sometimes you put it in the teacher's edition so the teacher can have the choice of whether he or she wants to do
Oh.
that. But we're not there yet.
yeah.
But it's a change that has happened in society that is kind of like invisible.
Um, Kim, I want to go to you because you're a mom of two kids, so you have little people that you are raising up in this world. Talk about the next generation and kind of like forming young minds. Um, how does you being a part of something like this? Not that this movie is like, oh, this is what made New York marriage equality pass. Like, of course not. But how does you being a part of something that speaks for love? How does that just inform you as a mom, either in what you take in the future, like roles that you take in the future, or in what you expose your kids to, just to kind of again form their young hearts and minds? Because I think so often people focus on forming young minds, but they don't think about forming hearts. And I think that's why minds are what they are today, because hearts weren't formed earlier on.
100%. I mean, I think, and I guess this goes back to even when I was little. I watched everything with my mother, whether or not they were things that most people would have thought were appropriate or not, and everything she put into context. And I know that sounds like a big word to say now, and when I was little, I didn't think of it that way. But I think that's my responsibility, is not to, whatever is on TV, whatever they react to it, to have a conversation about it. And I think that they need to see all kinds of relationships and learn about that. And I think being in a film that says something important, as opposed to even just watching it, but able to say, mommy thought this was important enough to do, and this is why, on several levels, just on the basic level of here's the message and this is why we think it's important, but that this was something that was important enough to take time and resources to do. I mean, certainly 100%. And I think it's the kind of thing where, I mean, everything they're exposed to, they absorb a lesson from. Anything that they watch, even if it's simple. And this isn't about equality, but my husband used to work at the Museum for Jewish Heritage, and we took the kids through the exhibit, and they were just like, I mean, Ivy is older than Cole, so she absorbed more. Cole was kind of, meandering, but she just soak the entire thing in. And so much of it resonated, how much those early years of the Nazis was like what was going on with Trump. I didn't even have to necessarily explain that to her. She made a lot of those connections on her own, and she went,
Wow.
wow. And then when she got to the end for a minute, she was like, and I can't believe all the Jews are dead. And I was like, okay, now we went too far. All the Jews are dead. But, and then she was like so relieved, in like tears of relief that they weren't all dead. And I was like, so Uncle Matt's Jewish today. And she's like, oh my God, thank you. And like she was like, but my point being that when we, no matter how young they are, yes, we don't want them to be traumatized by certain things, but we have to start telling these important stories. And so even when they're small, even if they only understand the piece of it they can, as they grow, then they get the more complexity comes along with it. But you're right, if you don't start from a young age, kind of giving them this entire worldview and giving them the opportunity to wrap their mind around it and see the relationships, then they're never going to have that appreciation or that respect for other people and learn from the history.
Yeah. And I think something that's so important too is that like each parent knows their kids, right? Like you're not making blanket statements of everyone should be going to a Holocaust museum. Like you are talking about your daughter, who is such an old soul and such a sweetheart that like, I remember the photo shoot that you and I did of her as a baby, that she just had a look in her eyes that I was like, Kim, I can photograph your baby forever, because she just had that look then. So the fact that she has grown into this like little woman is just so indicative of, at 10 years old, she has the social conscience to be putting things together like that. I think is a testament to you as a mom and a parent, and also just her own self, right? Like you're not going to be exposing her to this if it was too much. And I think that's just something that's really important, is you gauged what's appropriate for your children, and other people can do the same. And I think it's just such a cool thing that you're like, I just need to expose my kids to whatever I can, but to keep having those important conversations. Absolutely. Bill, if you can just like share anything that's coming up for you with this conversation, or just anything else that you're like, that you want to speak to.
Yeah, I mean, I think, going back a little bit to where I was saying, being part of this production, and at a time where, I was with somebody serious and we thought we were gonna get married, and then all these things started sparking, like, oh God, I'm gonna be up in front of my family, like professing my love to someone who some of them might not even agree with, who were sitting there. Chances are they wouldn't have been there if they didn't, but just that whole idea of like, this is different. Nobody else in my family. I'm the only one. How is this going to be treated, tolerated, whatever? And I always thought that was weird. Like, why do I have to think this? Why do I have to feel this way? Why is it that way? And, now a year and a half ago when I got married to my husband, like my whole family was supportive. They were there, and everybody loved it. And I was like, what was I afraid of? And I think that's something that was always there. It's just like, even to this day, if we go somewhere, sometimes we're like, if we're going to a bed and breakfast or something, I feel like we have to say, just to let you know, we're a gay couple staying here. Are you okay with that? And I feel like, why do I still have to do that? Traveling someplace, wondering, because I'm going into someone's home for a bed and breakfast or something, how are they going to feel? Are they going to accept it? Are we going to feel uncomfortable? And I feel like just those points, it's still upsetting to this day, and hope that we get past that. And I feel like there are steps. I feel like it's going to get better. You have to pray that it's going to get better sometimes. But like I said, we surround ourselves now with people who you're accepting or you're not. And then you're either in our life or you're not. And that's what it's got to be.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to you guys for being on with us. And as with all of the other Zoom reunions that we have had, we cover a multitude of topics beyond just the scope of the film. And so I thank you all for being honest and for being authentic in your expression, whatever it may be. Do you want to say anything?
No, just really appreciate you spending time with us today and 10 years ago, going through all these.
Yeah.
It was fun. And I just want to say, I said it at the time, and I'll say it again now, how much I admired the two of you for even, first of all, for even having the balls to try this, and then to actually pull it off, and to pull it off so well. I mean, it was just, I admired it so much,
Oh, thank you.
and I felt privileged. In the beginning, it was like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? And in the end, it's like,
Us too.
God, I am so privileged to be a part of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Definitely an honor to be a part of it. And it is an amazing achievement to do that whole year. Because I think about, you ever do The Artist's Way? You ever have that book? You're supposed to write morning pages. Every morning you write 20 pages or 30 pages.
Oh, wow.
You're supposed
Okay.
to- And I've never been able to like stick to the contract of writing the 30 pages every morning or whatever. But I think about you guys did this for an entire year. It's one thing to create one thing and go, wow, I made a project. But you really like did not stop. And it's amazing.
Thank you.
So make more movies and make some parts for me.
And I can't wait for the next reunion because that one was my favorite. So
Oh yes, that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, Bill, we'll be on with you in a couple of weeks because you are up for, I don't remember what week it is, but Bystander.
I still watch that and get chills.
That is another.
that was a good one.
That was another rich content. Like there was a whole backstory. Yes, that I was like, you and I both were like, absolutely not. We need to talk about this. Like, it's interesting because, like, I think at the time I was aware that we were telling stories that, like, regardless of how they came out, it's not to say, oh, every film is perfect because they're not, but they're not. But I think, like, revisiting some of these films, I'm actually really proud. I think even more than I realized of the fact that, like, we really tried to tell important stories, and not every week for sure. There were some like just weirdo things that we were like, what the hell kind of weird random element did you give us? How are we supposed to tell this story? But some of them we really were like, this is at the heart of this and we have to tell this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's really cool. I honestly don't think I realized until this moment, like, how many there were.
There's some good ones.
Yeah.
Like concepts to me felt like we had pretty solid concepts. Execution wasn't always very good sometimes, but the concept and the groundwork for the story, like a lot of times felt like, oh, this is really good and something we should do. So
I think you also learned as you went on. I mean, obviously you learned as you went on, which is a part of the point of it, I think, too, is that you get better as you go and you realize what the pitfalls are, you realize what your strengths are. And there was definitely progress as the year went on too.
There was progress, but there was also weeks that we were like, I'm effing tired. I can't do this right now. Oh, like there was one week I had baby food chucked at me because we were like, we got to get to Buffalo. My sister's graduating, so just do something, okay?
It fits the context of what we were given.
Oh God,
perfectly. So
yes,
it works.
All right, well, we're gonna say goodbye. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.